Hello, here we are. We're on day 8 of our reflective tarot reads, and so that's 1 week and 1 day of counting the Oma, and we're in Hesed of Geburah, which is the 4th and the 5th Sephiroth on the Tree of Life. And it's obviously, we got it represented by the 4 and 5 cups. If you enjoy the content, please like, subscribe and comment and share with anyone else that you feel is would benefit from it or enjoy it. Much appreciated. Yeah, so as we're counting the Oma, we'll have a look kind of Geburah, Hesed of Geburah. We'll be on Geburah all week, so it's kind of quite a heavy week because it's quite a difficult energy, but it's also actually a beautiful energy if you stay with it. So yeah, the story, the actual counting of the Oma is from where the Israelites were led out of slavery into the day when they received the law, the Torah at Sinai. So this point in the journey, 8 days in, week 2, the Israelites were traipsing through the desert. So this was the point that this energy, Geburah, came in. This guy looking at his cups, they were probably at a point where they, they were being led from slavery to liberation and to a new life. But they're probably at the point where they're thinking as they're traipsing along, what am I doing? Back there I had a home, I could put my feet up at night. Back there I had food in my belly. Here I don't even know if I'm going to get fed. So this is the kind of, where the liberation, the love and being led out of a position of slavery kind of starts wearing a bit thin with Geburah. So we can be like this in our spiritual practice, we can start off, we can get some kind of revelation about a new way, a path to liberation, and start our meditation practice or our fasting or whatever practice you are, or say I'm gonna do my rituals, follow the moon cycles and do my rituals. It doesn't matter, or prayer. But whatever it is, there comes a point where there's kind of that desert dryness to it, and you're sitting there thinking, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? I feel limited. I feel it's that discipline, that practice. So kind of Hesed in Hesed of Geburah is about the limitation, the discipline, but it's actually finding structure, and understanding the structure you can have and the freedom and the liberation that structure actually brings if you can plow through the dry, difficult areas. So in life, we need a balance with this. In life, we've got laws of the land, which now when they are tempered with compassion, such as, a law about going into someone's house and robbing them, I mean, that is a law of compassion. You can't have people stealing willy-nilly off people. So that's a kind of structure, and if people go do that, they'll pay for the consequences of that, So that's the law. But then we can have laws for law's sake, That can be an overflow of Geburah where there's no compassion, when you get tyrannical leaders, this would be Geburah out of, and there's institutions or establishment rules, and they got no compassion. Workplace rules, no compassion. they're rules for rule's sake, rule on rule without that compassion and with no, there's not the protectiveness of Gebbera. Gebbera provides the protectiveness. We can have it within families, overbearing parent who, rules the roost with an iron fist and, doesn't see the sensitivity of his son perhaps, and that is Gebbera out of balance with Hesed. But we can have it the other way round. We can have, too much love. I know that sounds weird, but we can. It's not too much love. It's love without the balance of Gebbera. So I used to work in addiction rehab centre, and I often work with the families of addicts. And one thing that you heard a lot was, I love them, the husband, the son, the daughter, or the parent. I love them so much. They genuinely loved their family member. But what they couldn't see is that because they didn't keep boundaries and they didn't say the harsh things, like actually your behaviour is destroying this whole family. Your behaviour is bringing me hurt and pain. Your behaviour is damaging the children. Whatever it is, whatever needs to be said, calling out the person who has the addiction, when they're lying and manipulating, you're lying, you're manipulating. They had such difficulty, but what it ended up doing was their overflowing love for that person became enablers. They enabled those people to continue down that line, destructive line that, sometimes ended up killing them. So it can be the other way round. It can be that too much. It can also be rooted in and this is why we got this, because to keep the balance, we need the strength, not just the strength to express our Gebbera, the kind of, this is the limit, this is, and our discernment, this is as far as you go, and call people out when their behaviour is damaging, respecting your own boundaries. It's also about doing your shadow work. So it's seeing the truth about yourself. So if you're the one with the addictive problem, then you need to see what your actions are doing to other people, and also if you're the one who's enabling in any way, you need to understand what is it in you, why are you refusing to see your intuitive sense that this is a damaging situation. It can also happen in abusive relationships. People when they're young have either, persistently had their boundaries violated, so they have no concept of boundaries, or they've been taught that to kind of speak the truth is unloving, uncaring. It's not Hesed. It's not, you just keep loving and loving without speaking your truth. But that can end up with, that again, a real unbalance in the other way. People make excuses for their alcoholic partners, or they make excuses for the abuse they get, or for the narcissist they're with, because they've got inside them something they can't see. They have a need in them. The law of attraction kind of says, you attract it to you through your negative feeling. But I'll say it's something much clearer. You have that situation turn up because of the archetypal energy of the Hierophant. This is your inner voice, when you haven't got that balance of Geburah and Hesed, he turns up, and he can turn up as a dark circumstance, a repeating circumstance, you know, where you need to look inside, do your integration work, balance off. He's your inner intuition, you know, he's the inner teacher. And if we're the Four of Cups, and we're not having our intuition, then we get the dark situations. It's not negative thinking that's attracting it. It's a lack of seeing. It's a lack of listening to your inner teacher. And then we have the Chariot. The Chariot, again, he's another balance, you know. That's the balance we talked about in the other day. So he's the balance to those situations. He kind of sits between Geburah and Hesed. He's like the vehicle. He's the funnel down to Tiferet, which is the heart. He's the beautiful balance of the yin and yang of that side of severity, that side of mercy. Yeah. So he's the Chariot, but you got to stay in that vehicle. You got to keep doing your shadow work, listening to your inner, not rejecting. Because he'll take you over the abyss if you stay in that Chariot, you know, the abyss of life circumstances. He'll take you over that. So yeah, so I hope that that was a little bit heavy, where all that came from, but there's that sense of it has to be. You know, there are times, as much as you love someone, you have to be able to, I think, was it yesterday we talked about, you know, can you hold anger and love? This is, can you hold your boundaries and not allow other people to walk all over them? Can you say the harsh words? Can you, you know, this is that kind of energy, but it's needing both of them in balance. So I look at it, Geburah, a bit like the pruner, you know. So you need to prune your beautiful roses back, or they get too wiry, they don't grow beautifully. So Geburah is a bit like the pruning it back, so when it goes channels down into Tiferet, you've got beauty, you've got harmony, you've got a dynamic equilibrium of the heart, because these two are what channel into the heart. There needs to be that balance there. Right, we've also, I pulled this randomly, and it's called How Much Good Can You Handle? It's from the Heroes deck. I thought we needed to be heroes this week with Geburah. Yeah, explore the upward spiral of grace. You know, I think it does relate to this. There is an abundance of love, but the upward spiral of grace actually is balanced. It's not just love whatever, continue to love, continue to give whatever someone else does. Love sometimes is your mother's clip round your ear hole when you've said something unkind to your brother or sister, you know. So love is not, you know, love can be harsh. The Hierophant, the inner teacher, the balancing of your shadow, the Chariot, all those things. You get out your Chariot, you fall into the fire of the abyss, you know. But the good, you know, the good, the love, the Hesed needs to come into a strong container, and that strong container is someone who knows their boundaries, someone who knows their self-worth, really. Yeah. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to pull a chakra card, and as I said, it's the throat chakra. I said that before. So I'll pull a throat chakra. It's the chakra of expression. see what Spirit wants to say to us. Oh yeah, communication. So yeah, what I've been saying is, you know, communication, it's the communication of our intuition, you know, whatever the situation, whether it's as awful as, you know, abusive situations dealing with, or it's simple. It's simple stuff where we're out of balance, where we're giving out too much, you know, in everyday life without having those boundaries. You know, exercising too much or doing too much of anything that's going to hurt your health. So communication, listen to your inner intuition, listen to the inner teacher, you know, listen to your higher self, your inner communication. But it's also about communicating what I've been talking about, those harsh truths sometimes. Sometimes we need to say harsh truths, and we need to say them to ourselves. We need to listen and say, look, this is enough. I'm not a doormat. I'm not going to be walked all over. I'm not going to make excuses for that person who's abusive or has got a drug problem, a drink problem, and continue. So yeah, communication. And I mean, also, you know, you may need to communicate outside of yourself. You may need to go and get some help. You may need direction. So communication is key. Communicating to yourself, communicating to those you relate to, and communicate. And, you know, as this message seems to be appearing from these reflections, I'll leave some links for helplines, you know, UK obviously, if you do have these problems, there is people you can communicate with, and there are people who can help whatever situation you're in. But even in the simplest ones, you know, look at your shadow, look at your boundaries, look at both sides. Right, I'm going to pull a couple of tarot for you. See if there's anything else. Oh, we got two there already. Right, just look at these for a minute. There's your cards. Without me saying anything, what are they saying to you? What are they saying? This is a 7, which is Netzach, which is the outward going ego. These two are 8s, which is Hod. So they're below the two Sephiroth we're looking at. This is also unbalanced energy. It's self-deception. This is, you know, not going inside, listening. This is your thoughts tormenting you, but then not having the strength to walk away. You know, path of the moon, dark path. He's defending himself. He could be being attacked by people. He could be that alcoholic who makes excuses, defends his bad behaviour by that. So I'm not going to say much about them. They are pretty stark images. Okay. All right. Well, lots of love. And as I say, if you need any help in any shape or form, there's some helplines below. But on a light, to finish on a kind of lighter note, there, you know, when you do get in your chariot and move on from anywhere from the most difficult circumstances, anything that takes courage, even in, you know, if Spirit's been saying to you, you know, You need to take a rest from the giving out. You need to have your boundaries, whatever it is. There's beauty in that balance. There's beauty in limitation. There's beauty in boundaries. So, yeah, I hope that's helpful, and lots of love to you all. Bye-bye.